What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GSD Podcast. We got a bit of a unique episode today, and the reason is because we're going to be talking about a ongoing project with the state of Oklahoma, something that's been in the works now for months, and it's the Workday OK or Bright Path project, but once it goes live, it'll be called the Workday OK, which is what people will know. So on the show this week, we have the Director of Workday Operations for the state, Liz Brandon, and also the executive sponsor of the entire project, Jamie Bush. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Here.
So let's start kind of broad here, okay? So for the folks at home, maybe they're not in state government, or even for agencies that haven't heard about this yet, Jamie, what is the Workday project? What is Bright Path? What is Workday at OK?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that's a big question, Caden. The Workday project is an implementation of a new system. It's going to incorporate all aspects of HR, from applicant tracking to onboarding to benefits, payroll, talent management, and training. So we're really excited
and it's
to
all
get it
one
implemented.
Platform.
One platform
So
for everything.
For the folks that maybe don't understand, because I think this gets lost sometimes, for folks outside of state government, for people in state government, they understand when you say that, they're like, oh shoot, let's go. This is awesome, right? Because we haven't had this before. So what's kind of been, Liz, you can kind of give us some good detail here because you've been in the day-to-day of what's going on here. What is going to be good about this platform that we haven't had before in state government?
So, Caden, we have never in state government had a system that is living, that updates on a regular basis, and that does everything inside the system. So for the first time, we as state employees are going to be able to go from one process to another seamlessly. We're going to be able to collaborate with other states in a way we never have, not other states, other state agencies,
right,
in a way we never have before. We are going to be able to get rid of some really, really old legacy systems.
Amen. Let's go.
Yes. I think that's probably what most practitioners are most excited about.
Right.
And we're going to have access to statewide workforce data that we've never had access to before. That'll take a little bit of time, of course, but that'll be something new as well. We'll be able to see things like, how does somebody tend to progress from one job to another? And how do we grow our bench strength and our workforce as a whole?
Right.
And Workday is going to be able to give us that kind of data and really allow us to make strategic and informed decisions as state leaders.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So it's interesting also because we've lived it, right? We're in state government. We see right now, to get my benefit information, I got to go over here. To get my insurance information, I go over here. For payroll, they're all different systems.
Right.
And so what I'm most pumped about with this is the ability to not only have it on one system, but have it on a mobile-friendly option.
Yep.
Do it from my phone, things like that. Just a modern experience. I mean, is that encompassing the project itself?
Yes, absolutely. So our employees will have so much more access to their own data. They'll be able to make changes to their own data themselves without having to go through a gatekeeper, going through somebody else to make those changes for them. They will have all kinds of tools. Managers will have tools to be able to have better visibility into their employees' records. We can track skills and talents and goals of employees so that we're really...
That's important.
Yes, exactly. So we're moving beyond just processing HR transactions and payroll transactions and really being able to get into the day-to-day of what we can do to develop our employees and to really dig into the meat of what HR and payroll should be doing on a day-to-day basis, removing all of those transactions and placing them into the system and into the hands of employees to do themselves.
That's cool. I really love the ability to train up and put goals in front of employees. Again, something that really historically hasn't existed in the state government is the progression, right? Is the ability to give immediate feedback on performance, track performance, but also set clear goals and objectives for employees so they see a career progression in working with the state. And that's just going to be a huge deal for the state. I think that's something that's really taking hold especially over the last few years, under for OMES's case with under Director Harp, but also I think other state agencies are incorporating the exact same thing. So what other features of Workday itself are you guys most excited about?
I think one of the things that I'm most excited about is the way it's going to empower the relationship between employees and managers.
Okay.
So just kind of like what you were talking about, we can set goals, but it's not just the manager. The employee can go in and set their own goals as well, and they can collaborate together on a development plan.
Right.
And so it takes the performance process out of just the hands of the manager, makes it more transparent, and the employee then participates in an active way. And I love that. And then, of course, you've got the learning side, which is my bread and butter and the corner of my heart. But employees are going to be able to go in and enroll in their own learning and take LinkedIn learning courses right out of Workday.
So if they see something or their supervisor says, hey, you really need to improve in this area,
yes,
go over here on the platform and actually immediately start improving that.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That's
and
cool.
Managers are also going to be able to do that from a team perspective.
I love that.
They
That's
can
cool.
even go in and say, hey, guys, I saw this great TED Talk. I really want to share this with my team. They can go into the learning system, create a lesson, assign it out to their team, and then make it a part of their next staff meeting.
Oh, we're about to start doing that, guys. Sorry. Talk to my team maker.
And it's all tracked through the system, so we never forget, hey, 2 years ago, what kind of training did we do for our team? It's all saved there and tracked in the system.
That is cool. That is cool. Well, let's get into some kind of nitty gritty. Just kind of curious. As I mentioned before, this is a project that we're talking about public now, but it's been ongoing for several months. When was the official kickoff of the?
We started this project in the fall of 2020.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it was right before the pandemic started. Or no, it was right after. Right after the pandemic started, we started this project, and it's been going on since then. We've gone through several stages.
Right.
We worked with agencies to architect and build the system.
Right.
And now, of course, we're deep into testing. So we are testing every corner of the system to make sure that it works properly.
And working with state agencies on those testing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, that's what's really cool. It's the collaboration effort
fantastic.
of this project itself. And I know that in the past, the state government have taken on big initiatives like this, but it's kind of fallen on its face. But what's different about this project itself is the collaboration, the buy-in that all state agencies have seemed to have on this, and the excitement around it. So
absolutely. So that is one thing that I've been most encouraged about in meeting with different state leadership is that across the board, everybody is so excited for what Workday is going to bring to their careers and their lives and their day-to-day moving forward. And it's so appreciated because change can be so anxiety-provoking for all of us, but what we're hearing consistently across everybody that we speak with is that they're really excited and encouraged and looking forward to the modernization that the system is going to bring to their day-to-day.
And I think it's encompassing of really the momentum of a state government as a whole, of moving into the more modern, employee-friendly kind of platform and just empowering our employees to do things that they've never been empowered to do before. And this is where state government is truly moving forward, and which is where we're seeing a lot of performance and a lot of efficiencies for the end users, for the citizens themselves. So
really, the timing of this rollout could not be better because the entire landscape of our workforce has changed.
Yeah.
Not just within the state, but nationally. Everybody is doing business differently now. We have more remote work than we've ever had before.
Yes.
And the implementation of Workday is really going to help us, I think, make that leap into the future of our workforce instead of the past.
I want to replace the thing I'm most excited about is that when Workday gets implemented, I don't have to print out any more PMPs. And I can do all of that on this app. Correct, Jamie? Correct, Liz? Okay. Yes, I have the commitment there. Awesome. Love it. Love it. No, but for real, that is something as the state workforce has moved, again, to a more modern, fluid, remote work environment, and having those capabilities, this allows for the performance tracking and performance metrics to be in place to make sure that that service doesn't suffer from that. So having those things in place from this platform is going to be a game changer for us. So let's talk training. What's going on here in this space of I know, Liz, this is kind of in your court mostly, correct? So training as far as this for agencies, employees, where are we at? It's March 25th, 22 right now? Obviously, we still have several more months of rollout for this, but where are we at right now in the process?
So one of the most important things with this training is right timing it. We don't want to train people on a system they can't get into, and we don't want to train people, or we don't want to let people into a system when they have no idea what to do.
Yep.
So really it's about right timing it so that there isn't a lot of time between getting these people ready and letting them into the system.
Right.
So what we're looking at, we're going to start, it's kind of a pyramid format. We start with our practitioners, our HR folks, our payroll people, shared services. We get them all trained up.
Okay.
And then we're going to move on to, we have training for agency directors, if they so choose, to take the time. I think it'll be really helpful for them to learn about features like delegation.
Right.
And kind of what their role is going to be in the system. And then we'll move on to our manager and our employee training.
Right.
Most of that is going to be virtual so that we can, get it out to as many people as possible. It will, of course, be recorded in case people miss it, but we're doing, I think, over 20 employee sessions and I think 6 manager sessions, all with very high participant lists. And so we're going to get as many people that way as we can. Our focus is on training to the parts of the system that are harmonized. So there is still going to be a piece of training that agencies may need to own if they're doing something significantly different in the system.
Okay, gotcha. But for the standardization,
across agencies should not have to worry about training at all.
That's good. And from what I've been told, and I haven't received the training, I haven't really played around too much in the system, but it seems very intuitive, very easy to navigate. Is that from your experience also?
Anybody who has, done online banking, anybody who has gotten onto Amazon and done some searching around, this is standard navigation. This is very user-friendly. You're going to be able to get in as an employee and do most of it without training.
I love it.
So, but we're still going to give it to you anyway.
No, I love that. Let's go. I love that. Now, will that be virtual, recorded, and in person, all available?
There will be some in-person availability.
Okay.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I got that question. I think we launched some recordings and interviews and things like that talking about the platform. I got some really good response to that, but the follow-up question was we will be available to do in-person training also, correct?
Yes.
I love that.
For sure. And there's going to be some hands-on activities and things like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So Jamie, from a high perspective, something else we've been working on as far as across all agencies is what's called calibration. Is Workday or the platform itself going to be an aid or a help out in the calibration process? And first off, can you explain what calibration is in case an agency or somebody outside doesn't really understand what that is?
Sure, I'd love to. So calibration is part of the performance management process. So the PMP process and performance management, that's not going away. We are making some changes to that PMP form that you're used to using. So the PMP will be completely housed in the Workday system, and we are making some changes to the rating scale once we go live, as well as changing kind of the vocabulary around some of the terms of the PMP. So we'll have things like competencies as part of the PMP, as well as the ability to still indicate or input goals into those PMPs as well. So the calibration process, though, in contrast, is simply just making sure that everybody who issues performance ratings to their employees is using the same exact definitions as their peers are using. So when one manager says my employee exceeds standards, we want to make sure that all of their peer managers agree with the definition that's being used for exceed standards, so that we don't have some of our managers and supervisors issuing overly stringent, harsh ratings, and then we've got some managers who are issuing overly lenient ratings. So we're just trying to make sure everybody's using the same exact rating scale, and not just within agencies, but now we've rolled that out, as you mentioned, to other state agencies. So we want to make sure that our cohorts in other agencies are also using the same performance rating definitions.
So as we roll that out, I think what historically, just for context of why that's such a big deal, because I think a lot of people may listen to that and they've, I work at Sonic or wherever, and we've been doing this for years. But this state really hasn't been doing this as one employer, right? And this is something that CEO Harp and Governor Stitt have been really encouraging is to be able to do this across the state, understand what it is expected to be a state employee, right? What is a meet standards for a state employee, and having that same gauge across all state agencies. And that's what calibration essentially does for us, correct?
Exactly.
Right.
And it's important for employees to have meaningful feedback about their own performance. And so we want that rating to mean something. If you're being rated as an exceed standards, it should mean something.
That's exactly right.
It shouldn't just be a throwaway. So employees need that candid, honest feedback about how they're doing performance-wise, as well as, showcasing opportunities for development and improvement, because we all have those areas that we need to be developing and improving upon. So that should be part of that conversation around performance.
And it's such a relief too for me as a manager to, when I'm putting down a rating for an employee, I'm well aware that there are biases, that there are things that I could have blind spots, and being able to validate that with my peers and know that I'm giving the correct rating to an employee, the one that they have worked for.
Right.
That's really, really important.
I'll give you a great example. If somebody is interfacing with citizens or with customers or something like that, and maybe you as their supervisor don't have access to seeing that on a day-to-day basis, but another peer or another supervisor had an experience, you can weigh that and balance that out to make sure that the employee knows what they need to be working on, not just from one perspective, but multiple perspectives.
Exactly.
And in the system, you don't even have to be their manager to give them feedback. A peer can go in and say, hey, this person has been really helpful to me, and that can go in their profile. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Workday has that additional capability, just like Liz said, to send feedback throughout the year. So we're not only giving our performance feedback twice a year at mid-year and closeout, but you can send feedback all year long. And that's the most important and significant feedback for us to be receiving, is we should be having this conversation all year long.
So this project itself, it's been labeled Bright Path, and as it goes live, it will be called Workday OK, which I'm pumped about. It's under the radar been, in my opinion, probably the most significant project the state as a whole, as the state government, has taken on that will be a game changer for the state. So as far as how the citizen might see changes, is there anything that the citizen should look out for, or is this more of an internal thing for the state?
So I don't know that citizens will necessarily have visibility.
Right.
However, what I do think that Workday is going to do for us is free up some time for our employees who are citizen-facing to focus more on their day-to-day jobs, the things that they're actually here to do day in, day out, to focus on the meaningful work instead of being focused on filling out forms or tasks that previously weren't automated or weren't part of our new system.
Which we all know for a fact exists throughout state government, right? Yep. Absolutely. So this is a modern approach. It's going to replace a lot of those old, outdated systems, and hopefully the vision is that those efficiencies would be seen in performance for citizens, which I'm just overly excited about. So, well, guys, anything else you guys want to add on to this topic? I know we'll have plenty of more conversation over the months to come of the Workday project and what this looks for. State agencies and employees are going to get plenty of information and opportunities to train. But anything else outside of that you guys want to comment on?
Liz, I think we would be remiss if we didn't thank a whole lot of important people
I was going to say the same thing.
who have been part of this project and working their tails off to make this happen. So we just have to call attention to the tremendously talented project team that we have assembled, who have been working since fall of 2020 on this project. It has taken a village to get us here. So we've got an amazing project management team, great partners with IS. Our payroll team has been hard at work making sure that every aspect of the system is configured properly to make sure that our employees are paid correctly, which in my opinion is about the most important thing that we can do here. Our HCM team. Who else? You chime in. Who else am I missing?
Those are the big ones. We've got our folks at the service desk that are going to be major partners for us in helping rolling this out. And then we've got, Paul Heffley is our project manager, and he is a phenomenal guy who is just helping so much. And we've got our partners in PA who have been instrumental.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Krista and Kay and Denise.
Yes,
Our team
if
have
you
been
heard
phenomenal.
about BrightPath, it's because of them.
Right. And lastly, our participation from the agencies, because we could not be here without
I'll give you
the
a
tremendous work.
Prime example, we're in Studio 38 in the basement of Jim Thorpe right now. Right across the hall is a room and a classroom full of agency employees who are testing and exploring and doing all sorts of just checking on the system to make sure when this goes live, all the bases are covered. So, I mean, the agencies across the board have just been phenomenal in working with, and I think there's just an excitement, an optimism that's with this that is new to state government that I'm just so refreshing to see that.
Right.
And Caden, the other thing I want to make sure to hammer home, I know I said it once, but this is a living system. So when we go live, that's not the end for the system.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
We are going to, not only do we get, regular feature updates, but we as a team are still going to be improving the system ongoing. So this system is going to be a solution for agencies forever.
Right.
There's always going to be a way to integrate into the system or to use the system to solve common problems.
Right.
And that really excites me because we've never had a system that does that. It's usually we buy the system, it's off the shelf, it goes on the shelf, and that's the end of the story. But that's not going to be that way with Workday. There's always going to be ways to improve it and to grow it into exactly what the state needs.
So as the state evolves, the system will evolve along with it.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that. Jamie, anything else you want to add?
No.
That's perfect. No, we'll have plenty of more conversation on this. So as things develop, no big deal. Thank you to both of you. I know we gave everybody else a shout out, but Liz, you specifically have been day to day living this.
Yes.
So Liz, thank you for all
Liz
your
needs
hard
a
work
round
on
of
this.
applause.
I know, right?
No.
Well,
I am one of many.
Here in the coming months, once this goes live, you especially are gonna need some big shout outs, and I think me and my team will make sure that happens.
Just come by every now and then and distract me with a chat.
I'll give you a hearty handshake. How about that? There you go. Right on. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for coming on the show. Again, this is a project that is under the radar, going to change state government.
Absolutely.
It's going to change what happens behind the scenes. It's going to unify the state in a way that's never been done before. And it's really thanks to our day-to-day workers, the people who are our agencies who are so optimistic and so on board with making this happen and making it happen right. So thank you both again. And guys, thank you for joining in on this episode. We'll have more information on Workday as it goes live, Workday OK, the platform, the project itself. Be sure to like and share this video. We'd love it if give more recognition, more awareness around this platform about the changes that are happening in state government thanks to project like this. So anyways, without anything else, guys.
No, thanks for having us.
Right on. Well, I guess we'll sign off, and we'll see you soon on another episode of the GSD Podcast. Thanks, guys.
All right.